There are two basic funding structures that I'm aware of that you can get as a university researcher. So there is a kind of directed research funding, which has very specific research objectives, very specific deliverables. You're essentially doing contract research for a company. In those cases, the research is going to be very restricted. Sometimes they'll ask you to sign an NDA, and you'll have very little autonomy in the work that you do. You can still work to get some control over your intellectual property, but it's going to be more difficult in those cases. And the contracts will vary depending on what the expectations of the company are. The second type is more of a gifted funding. So it comes with far fewer strings. It tends to allow researchers to have a lot more autonomy in the work that they do. If the gifts are structured in the right way, there won't even be a very specific project that's attached to that money. It may be a category of research that they would like that money to go towards, but beyond that, they tend to have very little control. Not in all cases, but in most cases. So it's, I would say generally, much more preferable to try to get that type of funding if possible. If not, you have to start really thinking about the research contract and considering how you're going to manage the negotiation. So when you're going after council funding, you still need to be careful who you're inviting onto the team. They will have much less ability to control what gets done because the way that they're placed in the project shields you by definition the way that but if they're meant to provide funds as a part of that larger project, those funds can become vulnerable. They may not materialize if the project goes in a certain direction. The nice thing about council funding is you've got another pool of money sitting over here, but it still does pose a certain risk to your research.